I hate 14 because I didn't get it.
14 because you didn't get it. Do you have 14 right there in front of you so you can tell me what it says?
Oh, yes.
Do
It's
it.
4x to the third power plus 6x to the fourth power.
That's it?
Yep.
Just like that? Okay. So this is kind of a goofy one because there's only 2 terms. So all we're really looking for on this is a greatest common factor. Okay, so I know that 4 is 2 times 2, and then I have x, 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 and then 6 is 2 times 3, and I have this. That's basically what it breaks down to. Now I'm not going to break all of these always down to that because if you had, x to the 55th power, I don't know if I could squeeze 55x's all the way across. All right, so I have a 2 in common between, and I have x, 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 and I have x, x, x. So if I factor a 2xx out of here, I get 2x to the third factored out. That leaves me just this 2 plus. I have a 3 and an x in common here. That's it. That's as far as you can go. So it has a greatest common factor. So sometimes you just have a greatest common factor, and that's as far as you can go. And that particular one is all 11. Okay? 11?
I hate it when that happens because it's like I try to do it in like so many forms.
I understand.
And then it's that simple.
I'm sorry.
Gosh.
11, do you have it open?
4x squared minus x minus 5.
Minus 5. Shh. Okay. Shh. So first thing we look at, is there a greatest common factor of the 3 terms? Well, all 3 don't have x, so it's not going to work that way. And my coefficients are 4, -1, -5. I don't have a greatest common factor numerically to factor out. Still with me on that? So on that sheet we had kind of guided you along with yesterday, it said go to the 3rd step if this didn't take place. So we're going to the 3rd step. The 3rd step would say multiply this and this together and watch your sign. So what is -5 times 4? -20. Now if it's -20, that should tell you that our signs when we factor are going to be alternating signs. One's positive, one's negative. Still with me? Okay, so knowing that, I'm going to list the factors of 20. I know that 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5 all work. Which one of those would work that would give me -1? 4 and 5. In order for me to get a -1, which one of those has to be negative? 5. So I'm going to write 4x squared minus 5x plus 4x minus 5. Now again, I could have had this being plus 4x and this being minus 5x, and it still would have worked. Okay? So then what we're doing from there is we're going to take a look at our 4 terms. We went from 3 terms, we broke it up into 4 terms. From there, I'm going to look at the very first set of terms, the 4x squared minus 5x. What do I have in common between the 2 of those that I could factor something out? X. If I factor an x out of 4xx, that leaves me 4x. The minus stays there. If I factor an x out of 5x, what do I have left? 5. Here, it doesn't look like I have anything to factor out. So the minimum is I have to say, well, a 1 will factor out. Remember, this sign carries directly down here. So plus 1, if I factor a 1 out, that leaves me this. Doesn't change anything. So I went from 3 terms originally to stretched out to 4 terms. Now I'm down to 2 terms. What do I have in common between these 2 terms? 4x minus 5. See where I have my minus down here? I'm going to put it on this one, 4x minus 5. What do I have left? X plus 1. Oh, that's a 1. Sorry. What do you think? What else did we come across that we had questions on?
13.
13? Do you have it right there in front of you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Tell me, please.
3x to the 2nd power minus 8x plus 5.
Like that? I read it correctly? Okay. All right, first thing. Do all 3 terms have an x in common? No. Is there a numeric value that 3, 8, and 5 have in common that I can factor out other than 1? No. So is there a greatest common factor? No. All right. So I'm going to multiply this times this, and that's going to give me a positive 15. Okay? Now things we have to understand. In order for me to get a positive number when multiplied, I have to go positive times positive or negative times negative. Is this one going to be negative, negative, or positive, positive? And what sticks out for us? The minus on the 8. This right here is going to tell us, hey, both of the signs here have to be negative. So I'm going to create my parentheses down here, negative, negative, and let's figure it out. Now I got to figure out the factors of 15. So I know I have 1 and 15, and I have 3 and 5. Of those factors, which two, when they are both negative and I combine them together, would give me negative 8? 3 and 5. Negative 3 and negative 5 added together gives me negative 8. Does that make sense? So then I'm going to take this. I'm going to go 3x squared minus 3x minus 5x plus 5. Why are those both negative? Because negative 3x and negative 5x, when I add them together, is this. So I'm figuring out what combination of factors are going to get me there. So I went from 3 terms to how many terms now? How many terms do I have listed? 4. I'm going to break the 4 terms into 2 equal parts. Okay? Of my first 2 digits, 3xx minus 3x, what do I have in common between the two? 3 and an x. If I factor 3x out of 3xx, what do I have left? X. The minus comes here. If I factor 3x out of 3x, what has to be left as a placeholder? 1. Okay? If this sign is negative, that means the majority of the time I'm going to factor a negative out. So what if I factor a negative out, what do these two have in common? 5. So if I factor a negative 5 out of negative 5x, that leaves me a positive x. Agree?
Yes.
If I factor a negative 5 out of a positive 5, what does it leave me? Minus 1. Okay? So the blue is 3 terms, the green is 4 terms, the red is now how many terms? 2. Okay? What do I have in common between these? X minus 1. What do I have left? 3x minus 5. It's factored. Bless you. You had a question too. 12? Yep. Can I clear this? Do you have 12 in front of you? Tell me what it says, please. 2x squared plus 14x plus 12. Okay. Item 1, do all 3 terms have x? No. Do all 3 terms have a number that will go into 2, 14, and 2? Or 12? Yeah, what number? 2. So we have a greatest common factor. This one has a greatest common factor. 2 factors out, that leaves me x squared plus 7x plus 6. Agreed? What did I say to do with the greatest common factor to the end? What should I do with it? Where does it go? Huh? At the end. So this is going to come all the way down to where I'm going to put the answer. Now, I'm going to ignore this for the rest of the problem because I know this is part of my answer. I'm going to ignore it. So now I'm going to look at just x squared plus 7x plus 6. Still with me? Okay. Ready? 6 times 1 is 6. It's positive 6. This is positive, so what are both signs? Both positive. Let's list all the factors of 6. So I have 1 and 6 and 2 and 3, or 3 and 2. Okay? Which of those, when I add together, both being positive, would give me positive 7? 1 and 6. Okay? So that's going to be x squared plus 1x plus 6x plus 6. Okay? And again, I could have flip-flopped these. I could have had plus 6x here. I could have had x here. Okay? So now I went from my trinomials, 3 terms, to 4 terms, down to 4 terms. What do I have in common on the first set? X. And that leaves me what? X plus 1. What do I have in common on the second set? 6. And I factor 6 out of 6x, I get that. Factor 6 out of 6, I have to have a 1 placeholder. What do I have in common between these two now? X plus 1. And then I have x plus 6 right here. And you remember my greatest common factor that I carried down at the end? It's already there with our answer, and that's our answer. Do all of them have a greatest common factor? No. Andrew? 15? Yeah. Can I clear this? Good. 15 you said, Andrew?
Yeah.
You got it there in front of you?
Yep.
All right, number 15 says what? Uh-huh. Minus 5x?
Yeah.
Okay. Minus 2? Cool. First step, do all three terms have an x in common? No. Next step, does 5, 5, and 2 have any numbers in common other than 1? No. Is there a greatest common factor on this one? No. Okay? So no greatest common factor, doesn't carry down to the end. So negative 2 times 5, that gives me negative 10. In order to multiply two numbers together that become negative, what do I know about the signs of those numbers? Yeah, they're alternating, positive and negative, or negative positive. Okay? So a negative times a negative is going to be positive. A positive times a positive is positive. And if I had alternating, one being positive, one being negative, in whatever order, would give me a negative number. Okay, so the factors of 10 are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Which of those, when I add together, would give me negative 5? One being positive, one being negative. Let's see. This would give me 9 or negative 9, and this would give me 3 or negative 3. Which one of those is going to work to give me negative 5? So, wait, we might not be able to factor it? So we're just going to list this as prime, or you can say can't factor at this time. Got it right down right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So, sometimes we can't factor it, and that's okay. Yes, sir? Yep. We good? Feeling all right?
So there's no way to factor this?
Well, there's something called completing the square, which we'll get to, and then also the quadratic formula. What basically, so what these are, and just a preview of what these look like. Being it's to the second power means it forms a parabola, which means it opens up or it opens down. As far as you guys in high school, you're not going to deal with ones that open right and left. Okay? When they factor, that means these two spots are where they factored to. Okay? If it doesn't factor, if it's prime, that means on your xy axis, it will cross your y, but it didn't cross the x, which means that your solutions are something called an imaginary number, which is part of the complex number system. That's the same thing as like square root of a negative number. Okay, that's where they come from. This is a few weeks away, but that's what we're aiming towards. Okay? All right. I got good news.
No homework.
This is a quiz that you're going to work on together, and then you're going to talk me through it.
Okay.
Yes. You're aiming for getting 3 points on this right now. Can you do it?
Yes.
You can use your gold sheet, you can use your notes, you can use each other. Yes. I don't think I can. Double check that for me, would you? Double check my grade book to make sure I didn't. I don't think I put it in. Okay, then I didn't put it in. Guys and girls, 3 problems. You have 5 minutes. And then you have to talk me through it. Here we go. Here we go. I got them all 3 up here. Okay. And again, I'm going to continue to ask the same question over and over and over again. Problem number 1. Do I have x on all 3 terms on number 1? No. Is there a number that 1, 8, and 9 all go into other than 1? No. Is there a greatest common factor on number 1? No. Okay. So looking at number 2 real quick, I'm going to ask the same questions. Do all 3 terms have an x? No. Do all 3 terms have 3, 23, or 30? Is there a greatest common factor of any of those? No. Okay, so not a greatest common factor number 2. Number 3, do all 3 terms have an x? No. Does 1, 14, and 49 have a number that they all go into? No. Is there a greatest common factor on any of these 3?
No.
Everyone agree?
Yes.
Does everyone understand when I say that? Is anyone stuck on any of that? Okay, so let's work through number 1 completely. I would have chosen to go -9 times 1 to get -9. I would understand that would give me alternating signs. Are you still with me? Now, you might have had minus plus. Is minus plus the same thing as plus minus? Yes. So, our answer down here will have positive and negative. You know, if you had negative and positive, that's fine. Okay, so I need the factors of 9. So I know 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. Which of those would work? 1 being positive, 1 being negative. Then when I add them together, it gives me -8. Yeah. 1 and 9. Which one has to be negative? The 9. Okay? So I'm going to have x squared minus 9x plus 1x minus 9. Okay? Now, you might have had this flip-flopped. You might have had plus 1x here, minus 9 here. Minus 9x here. It's still going to get the same answer. If I put those together, what do I have in common between these? And x, if I factor in x out of xx, I get x minus 9. Okay? This one, if nothing looks like it's going to factor out, what do you pull out? A 1. So plus 1. If I pull a plus 1, I get x minus 9. What do I have in common between these two? X minus 9. What do I have left? Problem's done. How'd you do? Seem okay? All right, so we already answered the questions about greatest common factors in number 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this times this, and I'm going to get 90, and it's a positive 90. But I realize in order to get a positive, it's going to be positive and positive multiplied together, or negative and negative multiplied together. Agree? What do you think? Is this positive and positive, or negative and negative? Positive, positive. The reason we know it's positive, positive is all of our signs are positive right there. Yo, press. I don't know yet. Let's see. I'm going to list all the factors of 90, though. So I know that my answer is going to have both positive answers. Okay? Factors of 90 are 1 and 90, 2 and 45, 3 and 30, 4 and... 4 doesn't work. 5 works. 5 and 18. 6. Does 6 work? 6 and 13. 7, 8, 9. 9 and 10. I think that's all the factors. This one didn't work.
6 and 15.
6 and what?
15.
It's 6 and 15? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's 6 and 15. Sorry about that. All right. Which of those, both being positive, add together to give me 23? 5 and 18. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
Someone asked, is it 3 and 20? Well, the 3 went with 30, and the 20 didn't even work. So, no, 3 and 20 didn't work. All right, so 5 and 18 are going to work, so I'm going to go 3x squared plus 5x plus 18x plus 30. What do I have in common on these two? X. Good. And I have 3x plus 5. And then what do I have in common here? 6. Good. If I factor 6 out, I get 3x plus 5. So my answer is 3x plus 5 and x plus 6. Excellent. Done. That's a 5. Sorry. I'm trying to write at an angle that is not conducive to my arm. All right. Last one. We already answered the questions about greatest common factors. So, 49 times 1 is 49. Positive. In order to get a positive, I got to go positive times positive or negative times negative. Which is this one? Negative and negative. Everyone understand that? Because if I add a negative and a negative together, I'll get a negative answer. So I'm going to get negative. So my factors of 49 are 1 and 49 and 7 and 7. Of those factors, which two work as pairs together when I add them together, both being negative, to give me negative 14? The 7. So that's going to give me x squared minus 7x minus 7x plus 49. What do I have in common there? X. I believe this to be this. If this is a negative, what do you do? Make a negative out. What do I factor out between these two then? Negative 7. If I factor negative 7 out of negative 7x, that leaves me an x. If I factor negative 7 out of positive 49, leaves me negative 7. What do I have left? X minus 7 and x minus 7. So remember, TJ, remember when I just showed you the graphs where it crosses and stuff? This particular parabola would actually come down and kiss the x-axis one time at positive 7. Yeah, it's a kiss. It's yo.
Why would it be negative on that one?
Okay. In order to get this number, it's the two numbers multiplied together. In order to get this number, it's the two numbers added together. So in order to get to negative 14, I have to go negative 7 and negative 7. Negative 7 added to negative 7 is negative 14. That make sense? How'd you do? Did y'all get a 3 out of 3? Yeah. Sweet! All right. So, factoring. Factoring. Can you agree with me that it seems to be a logical puzzle that we seem to be doing the same progression of events each time? The first thing is we look for the greatest common factor of x's. We look for the greatest common factor of a numeric value. Then we multiply the last term times whatever the lead coefficient. Can the lead coefficient be 1? Can I just have x squared? Can I have x squared plus 7x plus whatever? Yeah. So the lead term can be 1. Okay? We have to then ask questions of, okay, I have a number that's positive. So that number could have been a rate, by multiplying, could have been a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. So then we have to look at the signs of the whole problem. Okay? If I have a negative number that's multiplied together, so the last term times the first term gives me a negative result, that means my signs are going to be opposite from each other, positive and negative. But we also had a curveball thrown at you on the homework that did not factor. Okay? And that could happen. And that's okay. That doesn't mean something's wrong. Okay? It just means that sometimes things aren't going to factor completely. How do you feel about this so far? If you are at like 55% good about this, raise your hand. 55% good now. At least. Anybody at like 90% good? Sweet. You know what? 100% good? I'm going, dude, no matter what you give me, I'm there. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. All right. I want to try a couple more. We're just drilling and killing, guys and girls. That's all I really got going. So let's try this one. And I'm going to the cards. Can I go to the cards? Here it comes. Woo! All right. Andrew, yours was the first up, so it goes to the back, okay? Gage, on this problem, I have two questions to ask you. Does x go into all three terms? That's the first question.
No.
No. Does 2, 5, and 3 have a number in common other than 1? Okay. So that was your two questions. You're done. Mac, by both of those questions being no and no, is there a greatest common factor on this one? No. Okay, Mac. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this times this, and that gives me what? Excellent. Everyone hear what he said? Yes. Negative 6. And Mac understands that when you multiply a negative, or you get two numbers together to get a negative, you have multiplied what kind of numbers? Positive, negative, 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 or positive, positive? Alternating sign or same sign? Alternating. Okay, so in order for 6 to happen, I had to add alternating signs together. So that means that my answer down here is going to be like that, okay? I could have had minus and plus, but just we had to pick a way to have it. All right, so, Mackenzie, what are the factors of 6? 3 and 2 and? 3 and 2 and 6 and 1. Of those, one has to be positive, one has to be negative. When I add them together, I want them to be -5. Which ones work? Perfect. -6 and +1. Now again, if I had these flip-flopped, I could have had +1x here, -6x here. Okay? So, what do I have in common there, TJ?
2x.
2x. If I factor 2x out of 2xx, what do I have left?
X
X minus 3. Love it. This one doesn't appear anything to be factored out, so what do we have to have as a placeholder? 1. If I factor a 1 out of x, I'm just left with x. If I factor an x out of -3, I'm left with -3. Agree? TJ, what's my answer going to be?
X minus 3.
2x plus 1. Excellent. We're drilling and killing them. Okay? Can I move on? Stephen, 2 questions coming your way. Ready? First question. Do all 3 terms have an x? No. 2, -11, and 6. Do they have any numbers in common? So there's not a greatest common factor up on this one. Preston, what am I going to multiply together to figure out? What's my magic number? 6 and 2. And what do you have to see with the 6? It's negative. So Preston, in order to get a negative, it's what? Same sign or alternating? Alternating. Okay. Bo. Factors of 12. 1 and 12 and 2 and 6 and 3 and 4. Excellent. Okay. Garvey. I'm going to have positive and negative terms. So which pair of those numbers would work that would add to -11? 1 and 12. Which one of them would have to be negative in order for it to work? The 12. Now again, I could have had the +1x here and the -12x here, but I didn't. And I know we're going to have alternating signs. Good deal. Casey, what do I have in common here?
X.
What else? Dos. Okay, if I factor a 2x out of 2xx, what do I have left? If I factor a 2x minus, if I factor 2x out of 12x, what do I have left? 6. If nothing seems to factor out, what do I have to have as a placeholder? 1. And I'm left with what?
X.
Minus?
6.
Good. What's my answer, Casey?
X minus 6.
And?
2x plus 1.
Yeah, buddy. That's it. Good deal. Is this starting to catch on a bit?
Yes.
Okay. If it can't factor down, is that okay? Uh-huh. Let's try another one. Gabe, 2 questions. Do all 3 terms have an x in common? No. Does 3, 11, and 4 have any numbers other than 1 in common? So there's not a greatest common factor up here. Okay? Ben, what's my magic number? Yeah, because I'm going to multiply that and that. And then, Ben, in order to get a negative, do I have the same sign or alternating signs? Alternating? So my answer is going to look something like this. Of course, I could have minus here, plus here. You just have to watch it. Okay, so factors of 12. Which of those work? Did I already do this one? I feel like I just did it, but no. Which one works? 1 and 12. Which one has to be negative? The 1. So this one was flip-flop of the last problem. Last one, I think you had a negative 12 and a positive 1, didn't you? Yeah. Cool. All right. If I multiply those, or what's common there, anybody? X. Now it leaves me 3x minus 1. What do I have in common here?
4.
4. It's positive, right? So that gives me 3x minus 1. Angela, what's my answer? X plus what? 4, yeah, and what's the other part of it?
3x minus.
Yeah, 3x minus 1. Good. Done. Done. Can I clear it? Sophia. Ready? 2 questions. Do all 3 terms? They're what? The no and no? Is that what you're telling me? I agree. Not all 3 don't have x, and all 3, 4, 5, and 6 don't have a number other than 1. There's not the greatest common factor. Kieran, what's my magic number up here, buddy?
No, what?
What's the magic number?
You're talking about when you multiply them?
Yeah.
Oh, it's negative.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Kieran, in order to get a negative number, I have to multiply 2 positives, 2 negatives, or 1 of each. 1 of each. You're still right. So that tells me that my answer, if it can be done, it's going to look like that, okay? All right. Just for quickness, we'll go 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 4, 6 and 2. Oh, wait. 3 and 8. I'm sorry. 6 and 4. Ay. I'm sorry. Woo. Yeah, you're tipping the bottle. What's that?
Positive 8, negative 3.
Positive 8. And what? I like it. Brenna, what do I have in common here? What else? Keep going. 4. What else? If I factor a 4x out of 4xx, what do I have left? If I factor 4x out of 8x, what do I have left? Good. I have a negative here, so what do you know about this line right here? What can I factor out of that? If I factor negative 3 out, does that change my signs? Yes. Brenna, what's my answer?
It's x plus 2, 4x minus 3.
Perfect. All right. Y'all are going to hate me for this, but here comes quiz number 2. Yes. Same rules apply. Guys and girls, it's worked out up on the board. Take a look at them. I will tell you that your homework tonight that I will definitely be checking off tomorrow. Homework tonight that I will definitely check off tomorrow is it's on worksheet 7A, so that's what we've already been working on, yes?
Yes.
On the back side, which is, I believe, page 14 at the very bottom, I would like you to do 16 through 24. Double check the work that's up there. The answers are at the bottom. Guys and girls, we're moving along well with these.
Do we turn these in?
I would say those are good things to have as reference guides because I know a lot of you are taking notes on the back of them. So please do that. Double check your problems. Today I will be out of my office until about noon today. And I'll be back over there at noon. And then tomorrow between 10 and 12 I'll be there. And Friday I haven't gotten to yet.
Right, so we do 14 and then go 16.